Alright, match number 1 on the play. Only Stitch Drake in hand, which is not a great creature. Gosh, we usually don't want in our opening hand if we can help it. I think we have to mulligan for more creatures. We can turn 1 Ponder or Preordain and try to set up a turn 2 creature. But this is too much card draw and not enough actual cards, so I'm going to mulligan. Alright, this works. Probably a little bit better. Preordain, no, we already have a Ponder, we want more creatures. Play our Delver. And we have a Daze to protect it if someone tries to remove it turn 1. Jackal Familiar. Looks like we're playing against a red aggressive deck. Ponder. Alright, we flip turn 1, that's great. So now we can either Ponder, hold open Daze, or we can hold open Counterspell. And Daze. And I think I'm going to go with Ponder, because we have a fairly good chance of finding a 1-drop creature and deploying it. And we're going to need more than just 1 Delver of Secrets to win this game. Alright, there's a creature. Alright, so I'll put it back like this. Daze, Spellfist, Snag, and not Shuffle. And I'll hold open Vapor Snag instead of Ponder. I can Vapor Snag something on their turn, untap Elusive Spellfist, hit with Delver again, and that sounds good. So here I can Vapor Snag this, and then they can't attack or block for a turn. And it's more expensive to cast. I think that's a lot better than dazing that and setting ourselves back on our land. Although I guess if we're playing Elusive Spellfist, we could have just replayed the land, but I like using that opportunity when we had the mana available. Now we get to bash for another 3, daze on their turn if necessary, and then untap and have Counterspell available. Opponent falls to 13. Goblin Cohort. And I'm going to daze this. Perfect opportunity. This prevents them from attacking at all, as opposed to attacking for 4. Even though we could block one of the 2/2s with a 1/3. That would open us up to Gut Shot, where we're not really vulnerable to it right now if we're not blocking. Alright. I'll just attack with Insectile Aberration and hold open Counterspell and Daze. I could also Ponder and try to hit a 1-drop so that Elusive Spellfist could attack, which would be a fine play as well. But I like having Counterspell plus Daze available. I could do both of them and potentially protect this Insectile Aberration, which is attacking for more than the Elusive Spellfist is, unless I continue drawing main phase spells to play. Maw Conscripts, don't care about that. I only really care about removal or if I think they're done casting spells. So now they're going to play the haste thing and I'll counterspell it. Well, I'll save 2 damage here. If they play a pump spell or a gut shot, I can counterspell it. And they don't do anything. So they have the haste creature in hand. Okay, never mind. I'm an idiot. I didn't return that to hand. I returned it to hand once and then I dazed it the second time. So there's no guarantee that they have the Mud Brawler. I still wouldn't have counterspelled either of these, but I need to pay a bit more attention. Okay, so if I Ponder, Mutagenic this, and then daze the Ponder, that's 3 triggers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's not quite lethal. I think I'll simply Ponder and look for a land. This allows me to attack with the Elusive Spellfist this turn and also hold up and counterspell for my opponent's turn. If I don't find a land, it's kind of awkward though. Piracy Charm. Piracy Charm my Elusive. So that would be enough for lethal. You know what? I think I will keep these cards. And I'm going to main phase Mutagenic Growth with the Daze backup. If they have a lightning bolt, then they still get to do it. Okay, that worked. So I get to get in for 8. And then I can pump that up now with the Piracy Charm now that I know that they don't have a lightning bolt. There are probably safer ways to play this turn. If I had waited another turn to try to go for lethal, I probably would have still gotten it, but... And attack for 11 on turn 5. Alright, and we get a sideboard. So they have a lot of 2/2s and they're aggressive. So I definitely don't want these gut shots because they cost me too much life to do too little. Definitely want the 3 Hydro Blasts. Need to cut one more card. Stitch Drake is a bit slow. Ideas Unbound is a bit wonky. I could bring in some more counter spells potentially. Mutagenic also cost me a bit too much life, and I don't want to be using pump spells and then getting blown out by a lightning bolt or some other red removal spell. So I think I'll bring in one more counter spell, take out the Mutagenic, make myself a little bit slower, and submit like this. Alright, we're on the draw, which is worse. We have 2 creatures, and Drifter is one of the last creatures we'd want to draw. We'd rather draw a Delver or a Spellfist first. But we can still try to work with this. Alright, there's a Spellfist. Play a bear. Likely we'll be forced to trade off this bear. Since they're going first, they have the initiative and they have a very aggressive deck. Very potentially more aggressive than ours. Jackal Familiar. Also, every single time we trade creatures with them, it makes Jackal Familiar worse. Chain Lightning, okay. Kill the bear. They're down to 3 cards. And we get to go Elusive Spellfist, and we could even Gush on their turn if we wanted to eat one of their creatures for free. Assuming they don't have another removal spell. Which is a big assumption, and it's also a huge cost to be returning our first 2 lands to our hand. But it is something that we can do if we want to. Alternatively, we can Delver, hold open Vapor Snag, or Delver plus Drifter. But I don't want to do that. I don't have any top manipulation to guarantee that this flips. Drifter doesn't block. Elusive does. Delver doesn't. So this just makes more sense. Inner Flame Acolyte. Okay, 3 mana, 4/2 haste. So I'm definitely blocking. The question is, am I casting Gush? If I do cast Gush, I get to get rid of a creature. If I don't cast Gush, I can go Delver, Vapor Snag, Gush on my main phase, and hold open another Vapor Snag. I think I'll wait. Alright. And the waiting pays off because I top deck a land, so now I get to go Delver, Vapor Snag, and also Gush if I want to. Flame Slash. I think I have to Gush anyway, and look for a Pyroblast, even though that's a very low likelihood. I can't deal with this creature getting killed. I'm not going to win the game if it happens. Nope. Still not going to Vapor Snag my own creature. Lightning Bolt my Delver. Okay. Well, I can use a Vapor Snag here, but then they can just recast it main phase. I might as well, though, because that saves me 2 damage. And I think they just messed up, didn't they? Yeah, they should have recast their thing main phase so they could actually attack with the cohort. Now they can't. But I'm probably still going to bounce that anyway. But now I can bounce it in step instead of having to bounce it here. I'm not going to bounce the Inner Flame Acolyte, since it hasn't entered the battlefield trigger to deal the 2 extra damage that I'd be saving. And they don't cast the other thing, okay. They're saving it to trigger the cohort next turn. Well, you can have that back. Slow down their clock a little bit. Another Drifter, so those are going to be expensive once I eventually cast them. redeploy the creatures that I Vapor Snagged last turn. And they don't bother to attack. Preordain. Islands are not what we're looking for right now. Another Spellfist, okay. I want to play any other creatures before Drifter Ildal most of the time. Unless I'm very close to being able to close out the game. Can't afford to attack for 2 here. I have to leave these back to block or double block. Alright, they're empty-handed again. They cast their Bog Conscript so they could attack with everything and get in for 2. So the question is, do we take 2 extra damage to kill a creature? And I think the answer is yes. Drifters are going to come down now. And unfortunately, our opponents are getting in for 2 damage a turn. If they top deck mountains for the rest of the game, then we could theoretically do 1 more double block, go down to 2, and then single block each of the remaining creatures forever, while getting in for 4 damage with the Drifter Ildals. Unfortunately, if they have any extra damage whatsoever, then a double block this turn will cost us the game. Alrighty, and I think that's lethal, right? Well, we can't double block. We have to single block, and then take 4, go down to 2. It's pretty close to lethal. If they hadn't drawn a creature, then they wouldn't be able to attack with this or this. So even if this had been like a lightning bolt or something, we would have been better off. Though not by much. Pretty sure there's nothing in our deck that gets us out of this, but we'll see. We need 2 blockers. So we need to draw like a Phantasmal Bear. I guess we don't specifically need 2 blockers. We could just plan on them not playing a creature card next turn. So I guess I'll keep my Drifter Ildals alive. We're probably only winning if they don't draw a creature card next turn. So they can't attack with these. Play the Delver. Bash for 4. And then if they draw a mountain and then we draw like Ponder, then we get in for 2, 4, 6, 8, 11 damage. Jackal Familiar. So that means they can't attack with 4 things and we lose, since we only have 3 blockers. Oh well. That's a closer game than it looked, assuming we have like a Ponder on top of our library or a Preordain. We had a Gush, would have drawn Vapor Snag Preordain. Preordain would have drawn another Preordain. Yeah, we would have had lethal if they drew a mountain that turn. Because we'd have both of these alive and we'd get a bunch of triggers from them and get the extra 3 damage that we needed. On the play for game 3. 2 creatures, 2 spells. One of them's a Hydroblast. That's pretty good. This is a little bit awkward with Inner Flame Acolyte. I think they can use that Enter the Battlefield trigger just to kill this. Unless it says creature you control, I don't remember. But if they use it to kill a bear, that means they're not using it to deal an extra 2 damage to us, so it's not really the end of the world. I'm going to offer the trade here. And then play a Spellfist, which can block this cohort for free, most likely. And then the turn after that, I go Ponder, Preordain, Hydroblast, attack for 6. And hopefully keep drawing well from there. Valley Dasher. Take R2. Counterspell. So do I want to Ponder, Preordain, and then on my opponent's turn Hydroblast? No, I want to save all these. So I don't want to play any spells here. I want to leave back the Elusive Spellfist. And then, when the Valley Dasher is forced to attack, I Hydroblast something else, make this a 2/3, and then I block the Valley Dasher. Or I do it after attacks, it doesn't matter. And I also have the Counterspell as backup. Okay. Play the counterspell here since it's the more expensive of the two. And now I have the option to Hydroblast one of these. Since it also saves 2 damage, I think I'm going to do it. If they were going to leave back the Goblin Cohort, I might have saved the Hydroblast for triggering the Elusive Spellfist on my turn, but... Now I can use the Ponder or the Preordain to try to find more counter magic to keep the beats going. Go with Ponder first. When you have both in hand and plenty of mana, you Ponder first, and then you can peel 1 card off the top and scry the other 2 away, if you want to. I'm not certain that's accepted by everyone as the proper ordering for these, but that's what I prefer. So for example, here, I can take the Daze off the top and then Preordain 2 islands to the bottom if I want. It's just a question of how much I want this Daze. And since they're going to have 3 or 4 mana next turn, I don't really care for the Daze that much, I don't think. So I am going to shuffle. Preordain. Let's find some creatures. Elusive Spellfist, I'll take that. And save another Preordain for next turn. So now I'm getting in for 6 next turn, assuming Phantasmal Bear is not blocked. 4 if it is. Let's see what our opponent can do about that. Mud Brawler Cohort. And Bushwhacker. They opt to attack here, which means they probably have a Gut Shot or something for this. Or potentially even a Mutagenic Growth. But I want to see it. I'm going to make them use it. With only 1 spell in hand, this isn't worth that much to me. And there's a potential that they're bluffing, which they were, so it's free on my end. Well, I might be able to win this turn if I draw 1 more spell. Stitched Drake. Unfortunately, I don't have any creatures that have died. I'll put the Drake on the bottom. The question is, do I want the Daze? I don't think I want the Daze either. They have too much mana. So I can Hydroblast main phase if I like to deal an extra 2 damage. Oh, I guess I can Hydroblast and Counterspell my Hydroblast. Yeah, the mana works out, doesn't it? So then that'll be 4 plus 4 plus 2. No, that's not enough damage to win. I think I'll just save these both. Counterspell I want to save because I want to counter something on their turn. They only have 3 cards in hand. A Counterspell is going to be good. Hydroblast I want to save because I can do it on my next turn to make the Elusive Spellfist unblockable again. So I effectively get in a bonus 2 damage by using it next turn, if they deploy blockers here. Inner Flame Acolyte. And it's a blocker, I'll counterspell it. Probably doesn't matter if I let that resolve, since as long as the Elusive Spellfist stick around, I'm good to go. Vapor Snag. Alright, that's lethal, and I have Hydroblast backup. Alright, and we win our first match against Red Aggro. On to match 2.